Here we are again. This is the fourth video in the line pattern project. I've advanced my quilt and I'm going to work on this section, this section, all the way across. Now, before I start, a word, I know I've mentioned it before, I only have a small machine, so I can only come this far forward. If you've got a bigger machine, you can probably do more repeats than I can, so go ahead and do it. I'm just going to do one repeat of the border swags and down to halfway through the center medallion here. And I'm going to do something a little different today. Up to now I've done the stitch in the ditch first and then put the patterns in. Today I want to see if I can do the ditch work, then immediately put the swag in, and then carry on doing the continuous curve in these squares. Let's see how that works. This is just a kind of a practice project, so you can do this kind of thing just to see how the fabric moves and if you can do that many steps without stopping and without starting to mark the line patterns again. So up here at the screen, I'm going to choose line pattern. I've deleted everything else that I've done just as I did before. So here I am, line pattern. And I'm going to back down at the quilt. I'm going to mark this ditch to here, which is 4 squares, which is one repeat of my swag in the border. So I'll do this ditch, then I'll place the swag. Then I'm just going to carry on and do the continuous curves and see how that works, see how the fabric shifts, and if it'll work without too much bother. Okay, I'm lowering my needle. I'm going to mark the ditch first, so I want my needle way low. Again, I'm going to be using my little clicker. Okay, line pattern. Okay, so I hit OK. Now I'm going to move my machine, but I'm going to look up at the screen to see if I've got the right pattern up there. And you can see I haven't. So I'm going to hit the second button on my clicker to change the pattern on the screen. That's not the right one. That's not the right one. I'm looking for the straight line. There it is. So that's the one I'm using. So I'm going to click OK. Coming down on my seam line, clicking any place I think the line isn't quite absolutely straight. So I get this stitching in the ditch. And I'm just coming down 4 squares. Okay, that's the end of that ditch. Now I'm going to try and just add the swag. So I'm going to go back up to the start of those 4 squares. I'm looking up at my screen, and again I'm going to touch, this time I'll touch the pattern button on the screen. Pattern. Is that the one I want? No. I want the swag with just one lollipop, so we'll go pattern, pattern, pattern. Let's see until I come to it. There's a lot of patterns in IQ's memory. There it is, that's the one I want. But immediately it's on the wrong side of the line, so I have to flip it Y. I also have to flip it X to put the lollipop at the top. And now the other thing I'm going to check is the height. It's 3.823, and I'm checking my notes to see if that's the correct height. Yes, it is, so that's good. So I'm okay, I can hit OK. Fix that one in place. Now I'm going to go on and mark the continuous curves. So I'm going to go, let's see, yes, if you come back down to the quilt, you can follow where I'm going to put the curves. I'm going to go across here. And again, if you go up to the screen, it's the wrong pattern. I'm looking for the arc, so I'm going to hit pattern, pattern, until I get the arc. There's the arc. That's the wrong height, 1.95. So I'm going to touch the remove button to get rid of that. That's the wrong pattern. 1.95 length. And the height, I'm looking at the height here. 0.3, that's the correct one. Looking at my notes, so I know that's okay, so I can hit OK. Okay, now I know that's right, and it's on the right side of the line, so I'm going to come down, looking at my image to make sure the arc is on the right side of the line. It is. Moving across, looking up at my image, I want to flip the arc. Okay, coming down. Is the arc on the right side of the line? Yes, it is. Okay. Across. Okay, I want to flip Y this one. Okay. Down. Okay. Flip Y. Okay. Down. Okay. Across. I want to flip Y. Okay, now that's as far as I'm going to go. If you can go further, go ahead. Now I'm going to turn my snap on, so when I come back, the arcs will automatically snap to the intersection like that. But I need to watch, so I hit flip Y. I come this way. Oh, didn't hit OK. OK. Across here. Flip Y. OK. Go up here. I have to be careful here because there are other snap points there, so I have to kind of make sure I'm snapped to the right one. Oh, flip Y. Okay. Cross. Flip Y. Okay. Up. Okay. This way. Flip Y. Okay. And back up to the start. Okay. Finished. Now let's see how that all stitches out. So we'll go sew quilt, touch the pattern, continue, sew quilt. Let's make sure my speed is correct. I think that was there, my dial. Bring up my bobbin thread. I'm just going to do the stitch in the ditch first. Continue. Okay. Swag. Okay, now it's going to go on and do the continuous curve. Yes. Oh yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That worked really well because this border pattern was not too dense. It didn't shift the quilt too much, so I was still able to stitch the continuous curve accurately. That's great. That's a good experiment to do. On a piece like this, which is just your own. You can experiment like this to find out what works well, as far as how much you can stitch, how much you can mark and then stitch before the quilt starts to shift too much. Okay, so bearing that in mind, I'm going to go on and do this now. I need to do this bit of stitch in the ditch, this stitch in the ditch, and then I've got two shell patterns to put in here. So let's do the same thing. I'll mark the stitch in the ditch, I'll mark the stitch in the ditch, then I'll immediately do those two shells, and we'll see if that works as well as this did. Alright, so let's lower that needle. Up at the screen I am going to go add edit pattern, delete pattern, because I've stitched it, I don't need it anymore. Line pattern. Hit OK, move my needle, and let's see what pattern I have up there. The arc, I don't want that. I'm looking for the straight line. So a lot of patterns in the memory. There's the straight line. Okay. Moving down the ditch. And I'm going up beside the purple sashing. Okay, now I'm going to switch the design. So I'm going to move across to the corner where I know the shell has to go, and I'm going to hit my pattern button. Wrong one. There's the shell. Let's flip it Y. Let's look at the size, the height. It says 2.83. Let's look at my notes. 2.98 it says. So let's see if the next one is 2.98. That's the right one. 2.98. That's the one I want. Okay. Come down here. Okay. Finished. Alright, let's see how this sews out. Sew quilt. Select that. Continue. Sew quilt. Alright, continue. Start. That in the ditch there. That's a good one. Okay, that worked well. Let's do this. My bobbin thread. Okay. Now, if I had a bigger throated machine, I would have gone this way, done those two. Then I would have come back Then I'd have done this triangle too. I'd have done the shell. Let's see, would that work? Yes, in the ditch, or maybe when I got to here, I might have gone. No, I would have done that way. Yeah. So you might, if you've got a larger machine, you might try that. See how it works. That worked pretty good. I wasn't very accurate at marking the ditch here, but again, it's okay. I'm not worried about that. Okay, now we come to this part of the sashing. I can't do those two. I can only do this. I'm going to get my piece of paper that I used to mark these one, this side, and I'm going to use it here. And this half is a little bit shorter, but I think if I just fudge my paper over a little, it will be just fine. Mark in there. Okay, and I'm just going to do those 4. So let's see, I've got a bit of in the ditch there to do as well. So you know what, maybe I'll do that ditch first and then do that bit of sashing. That should work. Let's try that. Had success over here, so let's try it again. So I will go add edit pattern, delete pattern. Okay, line pattern. Here I am. Okay, bring my machine down a little bit. Look at my pattern. That's the wrong one. I want the straight line, not to get through. Get to the straight line. There's the straight line. Good. Okay. 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 Okay, and now I'm going to put in the little sashing pattern. So I'm going to go up to my first chalk mark and I'm going to change the pattern on my screen. Pattern, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one, that one. It's on the wrong side. I'll go flip Y. It's also the wrong height, so I'm going to remove that one. Flip Y. Let's check the height, 1.1, and my notes it says 1.1, that's the one I want. So OK, go to my next chalk mark, OK, and the next chalk mark, OK, my last chalk mark, OK, finished. So quilt, this, continue, so quilt. Alright. Okay, now I noticed something when it's stitched. Bobbin thread on. Down here at the quilt, I noticed it didn't hit the chalk mark, it went over a bit. And I think that's because I had the snap on and the repeat snapped to a snap point from in the ditch instead of where I wanted it to be. So that's what happened there, which made this last one a little bit smaller. So pay attention when you're doing that. I should have glanced up at the screen to make sure it wasn't snapping to a point I didn't want it to snap to, or turned snap off. That would have worked. Alright, so now let's move on to this center section here. You just look down at the quilt. most people could probably, with a larger machine, could probably do this center square all in one go. I have to think about things like this with my little machine. I can't. Maybe if I advance my quilt a little bit, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it as I would normally for a block that's too big for my throat, the throat of my machine. Okay, first of all, I'm going to do ditch work. I'm going to ditch here, 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 and I think over here. So that'll be one long continuous ditch. So let's do this. Add edit pattern, delete pattern, line pattern. Okay, bring it down. Again, I'm looking at the screen and I'm going to hit the pattern button until I get the straight line. There it is. Okay. 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 Okay, I'm going up here. My needle is actually scraping on the fabric a little bit. Let's lift it up a wee bit. There we go. That's better. Need to come down here. Okay, finished. So quilt. This. Continue. So quilt. Machine was wobbling there a bit. I don't know why it wobbled, other than maybe I should have cleaned off the rails a bit before I started. I didn't do that. Who knows? Also, maybe I could have done this bit of in the ditch after I'd done that bit of sashing. Yeah, that's for you to, that's a decision you have to make based on, you know, your comfort level and things like that, you know. So now, in this triangle, we're putting the parallel lines. I can only do half the triangle. So I'm going to mark the block because it's going to be a clipping block. And I will mark it so it's a little bit beyond the halfway mark. Then I'm sure I'm not clipping off any of the lines close to the point here. So add edit pattern, delete pattern, add block, mark on quilt. So let's start here, and I want to be fairly accurate. Okay, okay, going to come down beyond the halfway mark a little bit and straight across, and now up here. Okay, finished. Okay, add edit pattern, add pattern, line pattern. Going to go up here. Okay, bring it down to the center, and I have to change my pattern up here to the parallel lines. So pattern, not that one, 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 not that one. That's the one, but that's the short one, so I don't want that. There's the long one. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you can see how I marked the block larger so that this last line won't get cut off at all. I've got my needle at the halfway point there. I'm also looking on the side here. That looks pretty good along my ditch. Let's go back, and I'm going to mark my repeat a little bit to the left of that ditch line of the block. I'm going to come straight down to the point, and oh, wait a minute. So I need to go. Okay, let's go restart. Okay, I have to go eat up. Okay, and then I have to go. Okay, here. Now I'm going to come straight down. Okay, restart. Oh, you want to restart? Yes. Okay, let's go back up. Let me explain why I'm doing this. I'm going to start with my line pattern a little bit to the left of that ditch line in case that's not absolutely straight. It'll become clear in a moment. So I'm going to go, okay. I'm going to come down here. Okay. So now the IQ will cut off, when I do the clipping block, it'll cut off anything that's, it'll match up to that in the ditch line is what I'm trying to explain, that mark block. So we'll go finished, add edit block, add block, clipping block, select pattern, continue, select existing block, it's this one, and there, let's pan it over a bit so you can see it's cut off all the extra that I wanted cut off. Finished, continue, accept, yes, finished, sew quilt, so this, continue, sew quilt. All right. Okay. I still had to manipulate the fabric a little bit to get it to go right where I wanted it to. But that wasn't bad. Okay, so now we will do the pattern in this block. and it's just going to be, I need to mark the block here because it's the first time I've come to this, so I need to make sure that the pattern will be the right size for this block. So I will go up at the screen, add edit pattern, delete pattern, select all, continue, yes, and we will go finished, add edit block, delete block, continue, yes. I'm going to add a block, mark on quilt, right, okay, okay, okay. No, that needle bit, okay. I'm also going to mark this triangle over here, this one as well, because I'll put these patterns in to stitch at the same time. So we'll come down here. Look up at the screen. It closed the block because I was done, because the end matched the start, so it automatically closed it. So I'm going to hit finished, and then I'll go add edit block, add block, standard block, mark on quilt. If the pop-up window had popped up that said, do you want to add another block, I would have just said yes and carried on. But I've turned that option off. So, okay. 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 I don't have to be super accurate with this, but because it's just to make sure I get the height of the pattern correct. Okay, finished. Okay, so now we can put in our line pattern. So add edit pattern, add pattern, line pattern. I'm going to go over here. It's going to be the shell that we used, the same shell that we used over here, but it'll be a different height probably. So we'll go okay. Going up to here. Now on my screen I've got the parallel lines. I don't want that. I'm looking for shell. No, 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 no. There's shell. Okay, you can see I need to change the height of this. So I'm going to touch height, and I'm going to go up till it pretty much fills that triangle. Okay, I can see that there is less space between the edge of the pattern and the border of the block there than there is here. If that's not really very much, I'm not going to worry about it. If it really, really worried me, then I would, after I put these patterns in place, I would go modify pattern and I would use distort or shapeshift to alter that pattern slightly. And that's okay right now. So this is a new block. We're putting a pattern in, so I'm going to write down the height of this one. This is 3.6. So I will write shell in center 3.671 is the height. Okay, that's good. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here. That looks okay to me too. Make sure this is in the right place. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Finished. Sew quilt this. Continue, sew quilt. that's those two shells. So now I am going to do half of this centre medallion. Again, half because I can only do half. And I'm going to start here and put two point-to-point like triangle patterns in to make half of this design. Yes, so I will go here. I'm going to do, in the middle here, I'm going to use the same pattern, the same swag pattern that I used out up here. I'm going to use this one again, but it'll be a different height because it's a bigger square. So I don't think I need to mark the block. Let's see how we go. So we'll go, okay, we'll go add edit pattern, we'll go add pattern, line pattern, okay, and we'll go up to here, and I need to change the pattern, so I'll go, okay, not that one, 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 not that one. That's the one I want, and it needs to be taller. So what's the next one? That's a bit taller, isn't it? That's 3.3. You know what, I am going to mark that block because it's hard for me to tell where the bottom is. Let's try that. Let's try that. I'll go across to here. Oh, maybe I can get away with not marking the block. Let's do this. Let's go back. Let's change. Let's undo. Let's go to that. Let's change. See if we've got another height. No, 3.3. No, I have to change the height of it. 3.823. What was the size of that shell? That's the wrong one anyway. It's the one with the one circle in the bottom that I want. That one. I'm going to change the height a little bit. I remember the height of this shell was 3.6, so let's change the height of this to be about the same, 3.5. Let's try that. Okay, let's come down here to here. Okay, I'm looking at how they meet here, remembering how the other ones overlapped a bit. I still think I need it higher, so we'll make it 3.7. Let's do that. Okay. Oh no, I need to undo. Okay, now I need to make it 3.7. Yes, okay. I'll come down this way. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at how they overlap here. I think I'm going to leave it like that, 3.7. Okay. Finished. Sew quilt. This. Continue. Sew quilt. Continue. Start. thread ran out, so I'm going to change my bobbin and finish sewing that. But I'm satisfied with the way that looks. When I come to do the other half, I'll make sure I remember the height of this pattern, which was 3.7, so I get this one correct here. Now the rest of this I'm going to let you do on your own without me showing you, because it's just a repeat of what we did here. Remember, you can experiment to see how much you can stitch. Can you join this stitch in the ditch with these two shells? Can you do the swag, the stitch in the ditch, and the continuous curve without too much problems? Go ahead and try it. If it doesn't work, then you know next time, okay, I need to break it down into smaller sections. But that's why these practice things are good. You can afford to make mistakes on stuff like this. It's all learning. Mistakes aren't bad, they're good. You learn a lot from them. So I'll leave you to finish this, and we will be back to do the rest of the quilt on another video. Thank you.